providing 2 ladder trucks frontline for our city. We cannot be operating 1 ladder truck frontline and receive the points that they would think we need for this ISO rating. So I said to Wes, I said, Wes, we're not going to buy a platform truck just to maintain the 1 rating. If that's the case, we will go to 2 because it's expensive. It's $1.2 million, $1,250,000. We just go to a 2. We'll have to be a 2. Unless there's a true need. Well, this is where you get into our 250 3- and 4-story buildings and where you get into our big boxes. And in speaking with Jeremy Goodman at Fire Association and with West, they're saying this is not about just maintaining the ISO rating. This is about our ability to actually fight a fire and have the equipment that we need, and they feel strongly that we need the bucket truck. So, with that, I have had Wes call Pierce, which is our current manufacturer, and say, what does it cost to get the current platform? And it is $1,250,000. And looking at our current budget, Janina has worked with our financial advisors. What they have recommended, and it's something we've used before but we don't use often, and that is the use of tax notes, short-term tax notes. It's a short-term financing. There is no rating. There's not a whole lot of you simply go to a financing institution, the financial advisors do, they take bids, and right now they believe that they can get us the $1.2 million in financing for about 1 to 1.5% interest. I think 1.5 is going to be on the high side. We would finance it for 3 years, so we would have it completely paid for. If we do that, you all know that we have always tried to keep our debt levels level, our debt rate on our tax level. It was 10.009 cents last year. If we do our fire truck, we can still keep our debt level at 9.9 cents. So what we don't want to do is any time that we have some debt drop off or a reduction in our debt, we look out in our 5-year plan and we say, do we have anything that we actually need to issue debt to pay? And if we do, let's make sure that we coincide those. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go in this year and say, okay, taxpayer, I'm going to give you a 2-cent reduction, and the next year you come back and say, oh, I need that 3 cents back. And then here's your, we try to make sure we keep our debt portion of our tax rate level, and that if we're looking, that we look out far enough to know if we're going to need debt, that we coincide it. We did actually have a reduction coming this year, and so I've looked at this with Janina, and we can do this without raising the debt portion of our tax rate and finance that for a 3-year period. So that would be our recommendation. If we do that, we would actually proceed with that very quickly. We would actually issue the tax notes before the end of the fiscal year. That makes them eligible for the financing in next 2017 budget. And then Wes would immediately place the order for the fire truck. If they have one, sometimes they have chassis already coming down the line that meet their needs, and then they're able to go in and select their options and all of that. And if that were the case, they maybe could get one as soon as 6 months. If they did not have a chassis available, it can take up to 12 months. In the particular case here, Pierce indicates that they have 3 chassis currently available. They certainly won't hold them or reserve them for us if they get another order. But once the budget were approved, then of course they would reserve one for us if one was still available. So we would strongly recommend that you allow us to do something that's a little out of the ordinary and expedite the purchase of that ladder truck. It was due to be replaced in 2019. We would have ordered it in 2018. For delivery in 2019, we would ask you to allow us to order that for 2017 delivery.
But now, is that just replacing the existing, or that adding, giving us 2?
We will get rid of the 2002. The guys have lost complete confidence in that truck. They want no part of that truck. They don't trust it, quite frankly. It has failed the ladder test. It's back in the shop today.
Is there any salvage value or anything to it?
Yes.
Aluminum, we can run it across the street.
You know what they think they get for that truck? Because of its issues and its recall, they think that maybe $25,000 or $50,000 will be on the high side of $25,000.
Wow.
So, not.
But if you buy it, you park it in fire lane.
That's right.
That we would not recommend keeping that 2002. What we would do is, with that, what we would do is we would shift one of our engines into reserve, which would give us a great, very dependable engine in reserve. We would have our 2008 plant, our 2005 plant in reserve. We would have our 2017 platform, We would have our 2016 Quint and our 2014 engine front line. So we would have a platform, a Quint, and an engine front line. We would have an engine and 2 Quints reserve.
And Peach is good with that, so I'm the
And
consultant.
Peach says that Mike Peach is the consultant, the ISO consultant, and he has said that that would absolutely also allow us to have full credit for our equipment that we're operating.
You might have on one.
He won't guarantee you what your rating would be,
Right,
but he
right.
will guarantee you without it, you
But
can't.
his success rate is very, very high.
Yeah, very good. But I talked to Jeremy, not the fireman, I talked to Jeremy Goodman, who's the Fire Association president, and he is extremely supportive of this and would certainly ask that you all give that
So
consideration.
with all that said, where do you park all of these? How do you put these under cover? Or do
The
they?
fire lane.
Well, no, they do now. I mean, they,
Like at Station 2, they just store them against that far wall and.
I would have to get Wes to tell you exactly which station they're gonna put which truck in. But now, the
Well, no,
reserves,
the reserves,
the
yeah.
reserves they maintain at Caldwell, I believe, and then they go get them.
When you're on that account, you can sell.
You
You can use that 84 Mac.
Yeah, the 84. Miss Elliott, are you leaving us for the night?
Well, I don't know for the night,
Thank you.
this has been wonderful,
So,
because there's a lot of history involved in this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Drive carefully, Iris.
Well, what's on that agenda, is there anybody out here ready to get me when I walk out?
I don't think so.
I think it's just
I think
us.
it's safe.
yes, sir. Yes. A platform is, that's what they said.
So,
Platform is a property.
And the engine's the Quint.
See, a Quint can be an engine, but an engine can't be a Quint.
Right.
Right.
Because a Quint does 4 functions.
Right.
Five and 5. Excuse me, that's a Quint.
Yeah, that's a quattro you were thinking.
So
I would think so.
I truly, I've spent a lot of time talking to them about this to try to be sure that this is absolutely something that they, it costs about $950,000 to get just a straight Quint instead of the platform, so there is a considerable price difference there, $300,000. To say, okay, what if we just get another Quint? But I will tell you that the firemen are absolutely adamant that, if you think about it, Conti is about to build their new apartment complex as well. And so the number of it, they're about to have even more structures that are going to be 3- and 4-story structures. And
Well,
so
that
they,
senior one is gonna be.
you got the senior
4-story.
coming, and so.
So is there any deduction on the old stuff then, to send it to a volunteer service or some other company? or-
Liability.
We certainly have a mechanism, I mean, we auction them off unless we trade them in, and if we trade it back to Pierce, then they would dispose of it to, I'm certain, some other probably fire company that might use it. But this particular one, what they told me is because of the recall, that is gonna be really
Nobody wants it.
tarnished because of the recall on the ladder. There was a fireman who was actually injured, not in our city, but because of the recall, the fireman was actually injured on a Sutton ladder truck. And that was the purpose of the recall. And then after they got it back, I can't tell you all the things that it did, but it continually failed the ladder test. And we finally got it to pass, but it was kind of one of those deals that at some point the guys had just determined that they were not comfortable.
How could the old one be such a dud, and how do we make sure that from the 250, the new one's not?
We
Well,
changed
keep in mind, too, that is, the old one is a 2002. So, I mean, we're not talking like it's brand new either. And something was kind of, I'd say at one point, they were kind of considered top of the line, or at least a very nice truck. But they used to also have a very good service department. And in the last few years, their service level had dropped off drastically. And so I would tell you there was a number of years, I would say probably from the late 90s up until, I guess at least the mid 2005 or so, that, I would tell you, our department thought Sutton was fantastic. But the service levels
Well,
Oh,
they
kind of dropped
closed.
off.
And Loretta didn't.
Didn't they
have
close their
one.
local service, and now they have to go to
They have
Kansas
to
or
go to
something?
Michigan.
or-
There's not, every time the fire truck has to get repaired, they take it to, they take it away, it's not local.
Either way, you can't drive that car.
And Pierce has local service here, I think that's a lot of it, it's just having local service, and so, every time that one has to go away,
plus the platform does so many more things. I think what the farmer really talking about, I mean, I know a lot of people know that, but it's more for rescue potential. It's really not for the elevated master streams, which obviously can do that, but it's rescue potential. I mean, and with those apartment complexes, that's your biggest concern. And in the fire business, that's your business, is protecting people. And so, you know, I applaud you taking the bull by the horns, if you will, and saying, we've got to do this, and bring it before us and say, I mean, this is what we have to do to protect our citizens and protect our firefighters. So, I applaud you.
Well,
We'll get a t-shirt. Say no to stick ladders.
yes.
Where is the one for payment here in the budget?
It will be in our general obligation debt service, and if you look on page, there'll be a couple of places that you can see it here, but it will be in our fund balance summary on page, it will be part of, on page 14, it will be part of the $4,684,798 that we are budgeting for 2017, which is our general obligation debt. And then it will also be reflected, yeah.
Oh, Jackie shaking her head.
No, it's
We can see it on
yeah,
post.
there's it's on the, yeah. And on page 6-1, we show you all of our outstanding debt, and we show you the proposed debt, and then the summaries behind it show you all of the existing debt that we have, and this would obviously be the new debt service that would be combined with our existing debt to equal that number on page 14. And that would all make up the tax rate of 9.9 cents on the debt side that we need to pay that debt, and that is reflected. Janina, what page is that? Nick, or the tax
Are you
rate?
looking at the scenario?
No, I'm thinking about the,
Talking about 19?
oh, I'll find it. Page 19, yes. This is where we put in our debt requirements, and we come up with our debt rate. And you can see our debt rate last year was 10.00929, which is on line 2 in the first column. And you can see the debt that would be required to service our current debt outstanding plus that fire truck is 0.099447. And so that is the financing piece of it. So, and could you delay other capital projects and borrow the money, you know, from Carbon or something? You could do that, but for a 1% interest or so, we just don't think that makes sense.
So we're seeing a windfall in property tax, or in value of property, additional property tax revenue. Is any of that increase going to pay this debt?
The short answer would be yes, because what you do is you have a starting taxable value, and then you split that into two components. You have your INS part, your debt rate, and you have your operating rate. And so to that value, we're saying we're going to attribute 9.9 cents of our 46.25 cents towards the payment of this fire truck and our existing debt. And we're going to take the remaining 36 cents and we're going to live on it, which is our maintenance and operating piece. That's how it comes together, 46.25 cents. So, let's see if I have anything. I'm taking all of Janina's time. Let's see.
I'm
She
gonna
knows.
have to say a word.
I love it.
This is very important. This big picture, this.
When you've heard all of this, I want you, when you go into the detail, we'll go as much of that as you want to go. But there is nothing hidden. There's nothing else to come out. I mean, Janina will just be giving you more than you read. This is everything that's in that budget document that, in our opinion, is significant at all.
When I saw the 1.5%, the 1.5% reduction in property tax, I was so happy. But then when I saw the amount of revenue that was going to come in additionally, I wondered why it wasn't more. And then I jumped into page 7,
tell you that what we are doing is trying to, if you call it an opportunity, absolutely, we're trying to give back a slight tax rate reduction, which I think will keep us still substantially below many of our neighbors. We are trying to fulfill the objectives that we have promised for a number of years that we would do. It's very easy to fulfill the objective of when times are bad and you say, we'll hold the tax rate, and we'll cut employees, and we'll cut the budget, and we'll cut the maintenance, and we won't depreciate, and we won't do the streets. But the other side of that objective is that at some point, we will not raise it up to where we have to raise your tax rate, but when the value does improve, we will go back and try and restore some positions that are critical. And we're talking police and fire and public works is what we're putting in there, really, if you boil it down.
When you consider all the new housing and retail and all that has gone in, we've got to get police, our infrastructure has to get staffed back up.
And then you have to get that street maintenance into the baseline. There's going to come a time.
Dead end, that's the dead end.
Yeah.
That's the part I didn't understand
Yeah.
first.
There's going to come a time when we are nearly built out. We don't have many years left until our growth is done, and we will not have the availability for new growth unless it's through redevelopment. So there aren't many opportunities left, and when that occurs and there is no excess revenue, and someone is sitting here saying, well, how are we going to do the $900,000 worth of street maintenance? How are we going to buy the police cars? How are we going to buy the dump trucks? And someone is saying, we don't have any option except to issue debt. And then you have to start raising your tax rate to pay for that debt. And we're simply saying that this is a level it takes us to get us to sustain us. I would like to think that someday when I'm gone, the next person will look back and say, our depreciation fund is funded properly, our street maintenance is funded properly, our staffing levels are appropriate. Where you have it all set up and you haven't gone to a 60 or 80 cent tax rate, but you've also not created an artificial hole that someone else has to dig out of for years and years because you deferred your maintenance and because you have inappropriately staffed your departments. And you can absolutely, I think a council could absolutely look like a hero and cut that stuff down, cut everything out, do no maintenance, don't do your water lines, don't do your wastewater lines, don't do your street maintenance, underfund, and you can get by with that for a number of years. At some points, the lines start breaking, the potholes start caving in, people start demanding that that stuff be done. At that point, you're so far in a hole that someone has got to figure out a plan to get out of it. So what we are trying really hard to do here is make sure that there's never a place down the road when our growth is done and we're in maintenance mode that we are not set up to be able to continue a very similar, steady path of
And then you have a $90 million debt issuance that we know is happening locally. And then if you look at our debt per capita numbers, I'm very impressed with that debt per capita numbers.
our debt is very low. And I think, if I leave Janine any time, I guess I'll continue on with the last piece that was going to hit on our capital in that. And we try so hard not to do much debt. The next debt sale that you will see us proposing is Bullerizer and Bear Creek and a portion of Ash Lane is going to need a total reconstruction. Those seem like fairly new roads. They are not. They are failing. That's going to be around $5 million. We have looked out for the next 5 years. We have a debt reduction coming in 2019. We would propose in 2018 to issue the bonds, to do the construction work for those 3 projects in 2019. We can do those in 2019 and maintain that level debt rate again. We won't have to raise the tax to be able to do these projects. We would take advantage of the next time we have one of our notes paying off. And so that you're going to see in our capital plan. Our library remodel, which is eligible for EDC funds, because remember our EDC can fund Parks, Library, and Economic Development. We are recommending to cash flow the design of that library in this current budget. Y'all recall we had a big payoff in the EDC of debt, and we said rather than go out and issue new debt, let's take that money and try to save it up to do our EDC projects. So what we're recommending is we take, it's about $147,000, I think, and hire the engineer to design our library remodel. We would do that design in 2017. We would not bid it in 2018 because what we're finding is you've got to complete the design to get good cost estimates. So we would push the construction to 2019, so we have good cost estimates. And then what we would do in 2018 is we will fund the design of the Parks at Texas. Oh, the other piece of the current year budget that we're funding is the Parks at Texas Star Phase 6, which is the synthetic fields or turf fields for our existing fields. We've got that in your cash flow out of that debt savings from the EDC for 2017. So this year is the library remodel and to do the synthetic turf on our existing fields at Parks at Texas Star. We do all that with cash. Next year, we would fund the design of the Parks at Texas Star Phase 7, which is the relocation or the final fourplex that we would put over at the Parks at Texas Star and then ultimately, hopefully, at some point do Softball World. So we would fund that design next year, again, with the reduction of the debt, the cash. And then and what we're also doing this year is starting to fund a portion of the library construction next year. And we're also recommending starting to fund a portion of the Parks at Texas Star Phase 7. And we see a plan here where in 17, 18, and 19, between the EDC and the car rental fund, we can cash flow the library, the Parks at Texas Star Phase 6, and the Parks at Texas Star Phase 7, and hopefully not have to issue a penny of debt for any of that. So we would attempt, now what I'm probably going to recommend when the time comes is that we accumulate that money in our car rental CIP for the Parks at Texas Star Phase 7, but then actually allow the EDC to pay back the car rental fund after it finishes the library project and after it finishes Parks at Texas Star Phase 6. Then it can systematically pay back the car rental fund and allow the car rental fund to use that money for other capital projects that are going to be on the horizon. One of those, which is going to be a fire station expansion. The north side of town is eventually going to require an extension of fire station number 1. And Wes, over the course of the next year, will be doing some evaluation of that and hopefully bringing that into our CIP book next year. The things that we're doing right now will set us up for a much better plan of being able to do that, because if we walk in here and say we need to expand the fire station, buy a fire truck, and add 9 firemen, the price tag on that's going to be shocking. But if we can add 3 firemen this year and get a fire truck, and then next year or the year after, if we can add the 3 firemen, and then by 2021 or 2022, and it sounds like way, way far off, but that's really how far out we're looking, in 2021, 2022, we're saying we need to expand the fire station. We would have car rental proceeds coming back from the EDC, from their project. We could use them to pay for that fire station expansion. And then you're potentially looking at just those last 3 firemen out there at 2021, something like that. Then you would have a true double company fire station on the north side of town that could meet our needs on the north side of town without having to build a separate standalone fire station. So that's one of the things that Wes is looking at. But we had at one point, you had seen in this budget that to do all of the library parks and all that, we were at one point talking about some very large debt issues, and I just was not real comfortable about that. And so I believe that Jackie has been working with Janine to put together a really good plan to try and save that money each year, and you'll see that we budgeted in here a transfer this year to CIP for $950,000 for the library construction. And we've set aside $2 million out of the car rental for Parks at Texas Star. And then next year, we'll do the exact same thing, and we'll do that until we have enough to pay cash, just like we did the aquatic center. Just like we're doing for NTE out here at the 183, our water line relocation. We know we have to pay them off in 2019, and so every year, we're basically putting money in our savings account, and in 2019, when the bill comes due, we'll write a check and pay cash, and we won't have to issue any debt for the relocation of the water and sewer lines at 183. So Jackie and Janine and I worked extremely hard to put together a long-term plan on that, and so I think, I got a good time. Did you help them with that plan?
Sure you did.
So issue debt, there are times that we will issue debt, but I do think that there's a plan here where we don't have to for those projects.
Well, going through this book, Loretta, excuse me, it's very clean this year. I mean, I was impressed with how clean it is. One thing I don't think we really talked much about, in the 4 to 5 year window, we're gonna have to do something with PD. I mean, 'cause that building will start aging, so, I mean, we need to put that somewhere in that 5, 6 year
We're
window
already
too.
doing some of that. They're getting their carpet replaced. They've been on systematic replacement. They've already been on systematic replacement for painting. There's probably going to be an expansion at some point that will have to occur. There is some jail space, but because of where it is, that I don't know that we'll ever need for jail, but it's very awkward to incorporate. And so I do think long-term, they're going to have to look at, how do they accommodate some additional space there.
Right.
They probably will have to get in line behind the fire department at this point, so unless they can come up with a smaller, but I mean, that's what we're trying to do with these long-range outlooks, is get them all in line and try to find
I
that.
don't know where you would expand the police station, because most of the time the parking lot's pretty darn full.
Well, there's that tree area out in front between the two driveways.
Yeah, I don't know how you would, I guess you'd make it a parking lot. You couldn't
I don't-
expand your building there.
I don't even think they've started any real discussions of that. I mean, I think right now, it's, they've reconfigured cubicles and space, and, you could double up people in some offices and things like that for now, but,
Is there any thought of building a north side substation?
they're not, right now, you'll notice some police cars over at the purchasing building,
Yeah.
because we created a little mini substation
Right,
because of
because of-
freeway construction. They're not real fond of being spread out too much.
Right.
They think they lose a lot of synergy by having their groups come together every day and be in the same place. And so I'm not sure that they really like that idea as much as they do. It would probably be something more where you might take a division that you could move. There is an area that could be expanded. I don't know exactly how they would do it, but over by the jail area, some of that shell space. But you could potentially maybe move dispatch somewhere to a different area. You could maybe move code enforcement to a different area. There are areas where, you could maybe move some meeting space. You might move some things and recapture some space within the same building that doesn't necessarily require trying to punch out a lot of walls, but that's something I'll have to work with an architect and engineer on, so.
Loretta, is there room at Station 1 to expand?
Yes, you recall that you all allowed
Yeah,
us to buy that
we just
lot.
bought that extra land.
And so that lot is going to allow them the space to expand, and now Wes will be working with, just on a very, very preliminary basis for very little cost, with someone just to make sure that, that they could expand the building, and I think they feel very confident that they can.
What is second level so they can use the pole?
And then
No entries,
the last thing,
entries.
the last thing that I will mention is the water wells. This is one area that we will most likely be issuing debt in the somewhere in the near future, I mean 5 years, not tomorrow. Our wells are reaching the end of their life. We've done some preliminary feasibility studies on that. Chris is going to have a more thorough report for you on that on Saturday. What it's going to probably tell us is that it makes sense to stay in the well business. So what we would then need to start doing is looking at our sites to see where we can accommodate wells. We would have to begin to get estimates for the cost to drill wells, and right now, those are not cheap. Our rough guess is like $2 million a piece. And then we would have to work out a financing plan for you for the wells. Let me be very clear though, to do nothing does not save you money, because you are either going to get that 1 million gallons per day per well from a well, or you're going to purchase it from TRA. When you see Janina's slides in a minute, the cost from TRA is $3.28 per 1,000 gallons. Chris will likely show you on Saturday that it can be produced for far less than that. So even with the cost of the new well. So that is something that's obviously in the water and sewer fund. I think that's something that over the course of the next year or so, we're going to have to really start to nail that down.